And before y'all come in the comments saying, oh, this isn't news, Lego, this happens all the gosh darn time, because Podkolzin's a bad pick and yada yada yada, stop it. We know the jokes, we know the inside laughs that y'all love to have about Vasily Podkolzin, but today we're going over the Vancouver Canucks prospect in a very negative video again, because man, there's just nothing good to talk about this guy when it comes to his situation at the moment. And that's what I'm talking about, the situation, not the player himself. Player himself, I think, is pretty good. But let's get into why exactly this is a bad news update for Vasily Podkolzin after we get through the little part at the beginning. Thank you to those who commented Cole Harbour yesterday in our Canucks video. And I will say, this one was kind of weird, because in my head when I thought of Cole Harbour, I was actually thinking of Cole Harbour like the downtown Vancouver area, which is spelled C-O-A-L. But the majority of the comments were of Cole Harbour, Sidney Crosby's hometown. And then, you know, I thought about it and I was like, oh, well, it makes a lot of sense why they would default to that, because Sidney Crosby, etc., etc. But that's not the Cole Harbour I was thinking about, so you know what, we'll give the benefit of the doubt here and say either or was fine. We also had a few Cole Harbours, as in K-O-L-E, like Cole Lind, but for this video, stick around to the end for a chance to be featured in the next full-length Canucks video. We're talking about Vasily Podkolzin today, and this is not the video that I wanted to use to give a big, deep dive as to what Podkolzin did at the World Juniors, but rather, I just wanted to go over a brief summary of that, as well as what's happened afterwards, because Vasily Podkolzin was a very big topic of discussion amongst Vancouver Canucks fans over the past few weeks, because he was team captain for the Russian squad at the World Juniors, the Russian squad that ended up getting eliminated by Team Canada in the semifinals and then losing to Team Finland in the bronze medal game the next day. Now, I will say it was Team USA that came out on top and took all the headlines by the time that night was over, but for Team Russia, we had ourselves some criticism from guys like Vyacheslav Fetisov, NHL Soviet hockey legend, absolute baller. But overall, Team Russia was kind of underwhelming in terms of how they performed. Taking a look at the point production, you know, they didn't have a point-per-game player. Amirov, Kuznetsov, Podkolzin all had 6, 5, and 4 points. You could say Podkolzin didn't dominate like he did at the Ivan Linka 2 years ago, so he's kind of a failure. I don't want to say that. I want to say that Podkolzin was effective at what he did, and when he did look alive, man, this guy had so many centering passes that his teammates just did not bury. Like, this guy could have had like 3 or 4 more assists in the last 2 games had his teammates just been properly able to shoot. You know, it's the same story every time. So Podkolzin was not amazing on the score sheet in terms of what people thought he would be able to do, but he still displayed good leadership qualities, good shutdown, aggressive, board, battle, intimidation-like qualities on the ice, and I like to see that. But now that the World Juniors are over, he's back with SKA St. Petersburg, the KHL squad that he was with beforehand, and the KHL squad that a lot of Canucks fans were looking towards being Podkolzin's primary source of development for 2020-2021 in Russia. Well, things really haven't changed for Podkolzin in the KHL, because the first game back, guess what? He's scratched. And this ignited so much discussion on Vancouver Canucks fans' Twitter and Reddit and social media posts, etc., that we even had Rick Dhaliwal coming out over here, and he made a tweet talking about the response to Podkolzin being scratched. There were a lot of rumors of Podkolzin leaving SKA after he was a healthy scratch yesterday, but sources tell me, as of right now, the plan is for him to stay with SKA for the remainder of this season. And, oh boy. The KHL season, the regular season at least, for SKA St. Petersburg, goes on until the end of February, and then there's the playoffs, which are going to happen in March and April. I mean, the website says SKA's regular season ends at the end of February, and then they still have more games to play. So for Podkolzin, this is a guy who's legitimately going back to a system that's just healthy scratching him again and not giving him any discussion to play. Now, you could definitely have a debate that the contrary does exist. Here's Cam Robinson coming over here. New year, same routine. Vasily Podkolzin is a healthy scratch this morning for SKA. Presumably healthy scratch, by the way. You can never be quite sure these days. I'll add one more caveat. Podkolzin was clearly battling some bumps and bruises at the World Juniors, so this could just be a healing period where SKA sits him down and they're like, okay, bud, you were really working hard at the World Juniors. Your body's kind of banged up. Let's sit you down for a few games, let you rest up, and then we'll put you back into the lineup. Who knows if that's the case, but I will say last time Podkolzin was in the lineup, he was not getting played. So, yeah. Also, there's an argument to be made that, oh, this is just the recovery from the World Juniors. Well, Chris Faber kind of has your back here. Take a look at this article on Canucks Army from earlier yesterday. Vasily Podkolzin may have played his last game in the KHL. Check this article out. I'll leave a link in the description. It's a very good read for the update on the situation. After returning from the WJC, Podkolzin found himself out of SKA's lineup on a massive rivalry game against CSKA Moscow. Some believe it was due to quarantining or just not being ready after recovering from the World Juniors, but two of his teammates on that team, Askarov and Maxim Groshev, were both in the lineup for SKA in the game. So, Askarov, the goalie, is back. They're going to play him. Maxim Groshev, a guy who was not as highly touted as Podkolzin, is back, and he's in the lineup. So what gives? What's Podkolzin doing sitting out on the bench? Again, precautionaries, who knows if he's actually injured, like Cam Robinson says, but this kind of got people upset, and for very good reason, you know? This is what Chris writes about how eyebrows in Vancouver have been raised all season due to Podkolzin's deployment, but now apparently it's actually the KHL media that's picking up on it too. Here's what journalist Dmitry Elikalov has to say about it. The reason for Podkolzin's reluctance to sign a new contract with SKA expiring at the end of the current season is because he wants to go to the NHL, to the Vancouver Canucks. There's a possibility that Podkolzin will no longer play in the KHL, but will keep fit in the VHL. Chris's article also cites another report from Sports Daily Russia claiming that SKA has attempted to smother Podkolzin with another KHL contract. And with that, you know, it's nothing really new. Like, I think most people who watch this YouTube channel kind of understand that there is that really strange development kind of smothering where they want to not let the guys who they know are going to leave develop. We spoke about this a few months ago with the Tough Love video because, hey, Arsen Kisamutonov from the Habs system suffered the exact same fate. Rodion Amirov is in a position where you could argue he's getting that same treatment too. Podkolzin is probably the biggest face of this because he's been in a spot where he hasn't been played. When he is playing, he's getting very limited minutes, and for a guy who legitimately could be a top 6 forward in the NHL already, he's just completely not being given that treatment. It's very apparent with all the stuff going on that SKA wants this guy back. They think he's a good player and they think he's got a whole bunch more to prove, which is why, to me, it feels like they're not giving him that opportunity because they're like, okay, well, if you're going to take your talent elsewhere, if you're going to showcase the best version of yourself in North America, why do we have to do them a favor and develop you for them? Why don't we just develop our own guys who we know are going to stay here and who are not going to bolt to the NHL anytime soon? For example, take a look at Matvei Mishkov, the guy who's projected to go top 2, top 1, some said, in 2023. He signed a 5-year contract extension with SKA St. Petersburg. Now, that's going to be great for his own development because, hey, they're actually going to give him playing time now. But what's going to happen when it's 2023 and he still has 2 or 3 more years on that KHL contract? Does he still go first overall, even if an NHL team knows they have to wait a few years to actually get him into the lineup? It's a very double-edged sword over here, and for Vasily Podkolzin, I think what we can just hope for is that this guy gets some VHL playing time. By the time this video goes up, there will already have been a VHL game played, I believe, for the SKA St. Petersburg VHL squad, so if there's an update on that, we'll comment it down in the comment section because this video is going to go up at about 12 p.m. PST. So, this story is ever-evolving. The SKA season is not done yet. Podkolzin still has more hockey to play. It's just a question on whether or not he will actually play that. Again, link in the description to Faber's article for all the stuff that we discussed and we pulled from there. But talk to me in the comments what you think about Vasily Podkolzin and just what we've discussed, you know? Like, this stuff where he is a top prospect, he's got talent, he was okay at the World Juniors, and we want to see more out of him. Jim Benning thinks that he could play with Pearson or Horvat at the end of the season, but he's not being given that playing time, and it's not something that's brand new. It's a very consistent trend that we have seen throughout the season. So, because it's back to business here in the KHL with Podkolzin, I just wanted to make this video to go over it. So, yeah. Our comment for the comments today, oh man, let's do a very interesting one. This is going to get a lot of people mad because of the context, but comment down in the comment section below. no Russian. If you know where that's from, then pats on the back to you. Also, talk to me in the comments about all the other stuff that we talked about with Podkolzin. I hope you enjoyed this edition of 99, and bye.